This podcast is brought to you by podbazaar.com.
Welcome listeners. In this podcast show, Professor S Rajan is in conversation with K. Srinivasan. Professor S Rajan is one of the well-known scientists of India. He is presently a close associate of Indian President Dr Abdul Kalam for nearly 4 decades. Professor S Rajan has co-authored the book India 2020 with Dr Kalam. This podcast show is in 2 parts. In the first part released last week, Professor Rajan shared his personal views about Dr. Kalam. In the second part, Professor Rajan will be sharing his views on India Vision 2020 and the role of youth and corporates in developing the nation. This podcast show is brought to you by Prime Point Foundation and India Vision Group. Now over to Professor Rajan and K. Srinivasan.
Good evening, Professor Rajan.
Good evening, Srinivasan. Nice to meet you again.
Sir, you have written a book, India 2020, along with our President Dr. Kalam. Can you tell me briefly what made you to write India 2020, a book? And another thing is, why you chose India 2020? It can be 2015, 2025. Is there any significance for 2020?
In a way, though I am very happy to have been associated with Dr. Kalam for that book, I am very happy that it has been received very well nationally and internationally. I would say it was only an accidental byproduct of our much bigger work which Dr. Kalam and myself we were doing through an organization called TIFAC. That is, how to use various forms of technologies towards growth of the country, prosperity of our people, removal of poverty, etc. That exercise produced some 25 documents which we wanted it to be communicated. Many were not forthcoming, so we started writing. That's all.
What was the year in which you started the researching on that?
We started the work as early as 1993 through the TIFAC Council. In 1993, when Dr. Kalam became chairman, I was continuing executive director. Before that was Dr. V. Krishnamurthy. When Dr. Kalam took over, he said, TIFAC has done so much good work. Why not we think in terms of long term? That is why they fixed a time 25 years. Okay. Now we said that the study will take at least 2 years because involving the whole nation, so many people. So it became 95 N plus 25, if you add it becomes 2020. Then it so happened many people, 2020, perfect vision, so many things involved. So that is again, I should say God's grace came. Otherwise, there is no deeper significance other than this. But it was very good. It was good for the country. I think that vision which was necessary.
Sir, in 1993 you started the research. In 1998 you came out with the book India 2020. Now we are in 2006 or we are entering into 2007. After a lapse of 8 to 9 years, do you still find that the vision remains the same or are you going to revise the vision? Lot of changes have happened in these 8 to 9 years.
Good question, but mainly I want one small clarification is 94-95 we did the work. In 96 we gave to the nation. 2nd August 2006 it was given to everybody. The book is nothing but a capturing of it in a very nice form. So the 2 years gap should not be taken very seriously. But now looking at it, do we want to revise? I don't think personally I feel we don't have to revise it because many things told there have been proven beyond much more what can be done. Say for example services sector. People could not even imagine in 95 so many of these services. We are given all that. Now it is a big service growth sector. Many of what these things which we are doing now partly has been looked at in that. So what is more important? While of course some people can do some 10 years after that what has happened. What is more important is to push through this process because our mindset has been changed. India's mindset has been changed. That is enough. We need to push through.
So what is your vision for 2020 now? In a nutshell.
Vision by 2020 is, as of now it looks like if the economic growth rate is picking up. If this is maintained at least some 10% type of growth rate, we will definitely achieve the goals of becoming a developed nation. That means the poverty will be removed, etc., etc. And also in a number of areas we can be powerful. But it depends upon keeping a steady course on trying to encourage individuals, corporates, and then trying to remove the government control and become government facilitation. If the thrust of economic expansion is not maintained, obtain for whatever reason, then the goal is difficult to achieve.
What exactly you think that the benchmarking on 2020, assuming that the present trend continues?
No, I would like to see if the present trend is not enough. It is to accelerate more. It has to become 10. It has to become more. Because the main thing I would say now, looking almost everybody, every boy and girl who is coming out should be in a position to have a reasonable employment. Which is, I am not meaning a permanent government job or a permanent corporate job, but it should be a reasonable remuneration. And that is crucial. And that can be done only by expansion of economic activity in variety of areas envisaged. Not necessarily the way it has been told in the book. People can innovate. People can do differently.
Can you say one or two items which you think that it would accelerate?
Say, for example, we need to compress the number of people in agriculture. We can't be going on saying we are a great agricultural country, 60% are working. We have to bring it down and create around that a number of other value-adding things in agro-processing and variety of these things, so that wean away people from direct primary work, but go here the productivity and production has to increase much more than what it is now in the agriculture, but around it a lot of other skilled jobs have to emerge. Bulk of our people, anything, marketing, writing, design, carpentry, better ones, you have to really start doing global products from the ordinary men and women. Then of course IT and other thing, upper segment is there. But upper segment alone cannot solve. A large amount of manufacturing, a large amount of self-employed people producing those goods. Then of course an increased agriculture, but lesser number of people. Of course the higher end, upper end and all should be there. It is this composite which will create a developed India.
Then what is the role of youth then in this? Many times what has happened, many of the youth, they complete the education, they do not go for a self-employment. They would like to get employed elsewhere. Do you suggest that more of entrepreneurs should come for this?
See, this phenomena of trying to get employed somewhere is only those who have gone for higher education. If you really see, only 8 to 10% of the children in the eligible bracket go to the higher education, and they have developed in their mind that I have to get into a government job. Now that is changing. In the bottom level, you have to have a large amount of self-entrepreneurship. In fact, recently CII had a rural enterprise thing. How they can do? The women self-help group are getting together. People are doing it. And it is the empowerment and there in the bottom segments have to be done. For young boys and girls who are not able to complete a full education, if you are dropped out of school or dropped out of study, you are not dropped out of life. That is the first message you have to give the people. Give them all. Those who have been fortunate to get higher skill, let them get more and more. But this will come once you open up education, make it creative, make it flexible. These things will happen because inherently our people are greatly adaptable. Today the education system itself is very constraining. Many new skills you can't impart it through that system. 6 hours of schooling is taken away. Even when they do degrees, lot of irrelevant material are given. Instead you give them economically relevant one. Another thing is how to learn new things. That is all what is to be.
So then in that case what the youth have to do?
Youth have to go and ask for this instead of just loan subsidies. Instead of just says, give me subsidies, give me jobs. Instead of that, they should open it out for us. We want to be adventurous. Because many youth I interact, some of them are very good. Many of them still go back. Sir, from Delhi, can you have one uniform policy? If you start having a uniform policy from nationally, our youth are going to be strangulated. Youth should ask for a lot of decentralization. They have to ask for learning new things. Leave us alone. We will do. We will create an economy.
Do you think that it is because of the lack of self-confidence in them?
No, it is not that. We have been brought up in 60 years of completely oppressed economy. Some of them are seeing it. We have to show them, don't worry, that form of centralized control, whether it is from Delhi or state capitals or through a heavy governmental patriarchal role, is not going to help. You have to take it to yourself, and that will trigger entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship comes only to those who are fearless.
Then what is the reason for such phenomena amongst the youth today?
No, it is because of the past. It is the older people who are transmitting again, have a coordination, have one common entrance test, have one thing common. They are giving it. Media gives it. Because as if you are searching from one truth which is available. It is not true. World, if you see, it has grown from entrepreneurships of variety of fellows. And that is what media is responsible. They all have to tell. We all have to tell them. Don't worry. Liberate them. They will grow. We have to repose confidence in them.
Then what is the role of media?
Media, while it can do the other roles, it has to play a positive role. It has to learn to look back why certain things have gone wrong instead of receiving the same cliches. They all caught up in cliches. So that they have to come back to the reality of how to develop a modern economy. Modern economy cannot develop through controls. It can't come through license permits. It can't come from one fellow commanding something. It has to come from entrepreneurship of several people. That is what media has to show. Successes have to be played up.
So you are also a principal advisor to Confederation of Indian Industry. That is a corporate body of the country. Now the role of corporates are playing a greater role in the liberalized economy. If you want India to achieve the 2020 dream, what do you think the corporates should do that?
One good thing which has happened, which was not in 1991, it is post 95 and then more close around 2000. Corporates have become now bolder. Earlier they also wanted a government protection. Now they have become bolder. They are ready to go global. Many good Indian companies have come. Now I am not talking when the big ones, big acquisitions, smaller ones, many things have come. They have become agile. In addition to it, they are also realizing now there is something called a mission on inclusive growth. CAS. They would not have thought about it some years ago. In other words, they are realizing that the fate of the bottom ones, skills initiative, of the ones is intricately tied up with their own growth, their own markets, their own enlightened self-interest. That has made a change. All of us have to ask for reform. Reforms means the onus is on you. You have to do. You have to be entrepreneurial. Of course, there can be some countervailing things to help people, public accountability, but it is not to centralize monopolistic institutions. That is the direction in which the corporates are also asking for. They have become bold enough.
So many times I find presently a lot of educated people are becoming too cynical. They are becoming pessimistic or negative as if they are not able to do that or go on complaining in nature. What do you think about this? Why such a phenomena is happening?
The phenomena is because they are truly good people who do that. The reason is in their memory of say somewhere around 1970. Up to 1970 somehow India's growth was okay, because from almost near zero you had to come up. 70 onwards, the control system of planning and other things have been so oppressive. They would all have seen this can happen, but did not happen because some 10 fellows did not approve. This can happen, it cannot do. So they have got a lifetime of disappointment. I used to tell people, take a balance. One side you put India's achievements, another side you put missed opportunities. This missed opportunity side will just take you down. This is in the memory of people. I also have it. To be truthful, if I just see it, how many things have not been done. India could have been an electronics giant. We didn't do it. But what we have to now tell them is, please, I agree with you 100% what has happened. No, take that scar out of it. Don't transmit to the young people. Tell them you can do. That is the reason I am asking for freedom. This erasure we have to, the older generation has to keep it to us. So they say, no, government will not approve this will not, because there are so many controls. Otherwise, media will write, some fellow, some good, genuine officer attempting a reform, media will write something against. I know of many cases of men and women. So these are the type of things we have to create the positive image. It is difficult, but we have to do it. That is what has cost.
So can you give a single message to the youngsters of our country?
Don't be afraid. You can develop yourself. Along with that, you develop it. If you have to work in different parts of the world, don't worry. Immediately opportunities anywhere, grab it. Go up. Be ready for a change. You will succeed.
So thank you very much for sparing your very valuable time and discussing about the India Vision 2020.
Thank you, Srinivasan. You are keeping on introducing innovations. That's good. People should try like this.
Thank you, listeners. That was Professor Y S Rajan, a well-known scientist and co-author of the book India 2020 with Indian President Dr. Kalam, in conversation with K. Srinivasan. For updates, please log on to www.primepointfoundation.org and www.indiavision2020.org. Please send your comments and suggestions to prpoint@yahoo.com. This is Veena Vinod signing off from the show.